Good evening, comic book fans. Welcome back to Ka-Pow Comics. You're probably thinking, but Shorty, the picture that I've just seen on this thumbnail looks nothing like the way you do now. That is true. It's basically because I don't have a copy to hand, so I had to go and find the picture that I used for the old one many, many moons ago when I had very different hair. But this is me now. Get used to it. So we're doing James Stokoe's Orphan and the Five Beasts, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this comic book. But we're going to start by talking about violence in comic books. Basically because comic books and violence have like an intricate, interwoven history. You cannot really have comic books without stories of violence. Yet, well, I stand corrected. No, you absolutely can have them, but comic books as a genre overall are so interwoven with violence, and it's like part of their nature. Ones without are still far in the minority. And this goes back to like just costume vigilantes beating up bad guys, war stories and horror stories and crime stories. All this kind of thing involves some level of violence. Now, modern contemporary comics are reevaluating how they use violence. It's a genuinely good thing to see. The two ones that come to mind immediately are Batman and Daredevil, basically because in the DC Universe, Batman is not a superhero. He's just a rich guy who beats up criminals and the mentally unwell. And Daredevil is, although a superhero, definitely one of the most ground level, basic human superheroes of the Marvel Universe, who also, for the most part, beats up criminals. Both these characters have had quite good little takes recently where they've been reevaluating what they do and how they get away with it. Now, this review isn't about that, but since I'm about to start saying how these are all the best looking, most ridiculously violent comic books I've ever read, it feels kind of like I have to stress that I'm not saying yay violence in comic book rules. It has to be done in a certain way. And Orphan and the Five Beasts does this. And he does it in such a good way that even in just my best of 2021 rundown, I've mentioned, I think, twice now that Hong Kong movie style is not my cup of tea. I kind of like some aspects of it. I like the over-the-top humor of it. I kind of like the over-the-top fight scenes, but I have more tendency to enjoy the slightly more intricate contemporary movies when it comes to martial arts fight scenes. I think there's something about seeing people actually look like they're in a fight rather than look like they're staging a fight. And a lot of the early Hong Kong action movie stuff, it definitely was more staged. It looked brilliant and intricate, and I'm not taking anything of their performances, but it didn't look genuine. Modern ones look a little bit better. Orphan and the Five Beasts kind of grabs hold of that ridiculous OTT style and runs like hell with it. It never takes itself seriously for more than a couple of beats. There's some nice little backstory, a little bit of world building being very important to me, but they don't really take long to get you into the fight scenes and the action. Even the training sequence you get early on is brilliant and kind of daft and over the top. And they do a nice little thing of not specifically gendering their main character, the orphan. They are referred to as female, I think I remember correctly, but again, I don't have one to hand, so apologies if I'm speaking out of turn there. But for the most part, they are just this warrior, this orphan, who is going out for vengeance in the way of these things. And vengeance as a storyline, as a trope, is one that is fraught with things that can go wrong. There's an excellent moment in one of the Sin City comic books, I think the To Hell and Back, where the main character goes and rescues somebody who's been kidnapped, and the people in the criminal organization are like, well, let's go and get this guy. He shouldn't be able to mess with us. And it's like, no, leave it. We've lost some money. We're going to lose more if we go after him. Let's just consolidate our losses and hope we never meet this person again or anyone else like them again. Vengeance can be problematic. It can be a path down never-ending spirals of violence. But when you take something like that and put it in such an over-the-top stylized world, you can forget about some of those kind of consequences and some of those convoluted plot things. You can just enjoy it for what it is. That's why I love it. It's fun. And it's fun while being ridiculously violent. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot tell you that you're going to be able to just watch it with a kind of like a light-hearted, oh, they're certainly having a fight there. No, there's like animal cruelty in this one, and several people die in a variety of uncomfortable, unpleasant ways. And at a point where you think somebody has died, something terrible has happened to them, it turns out supernatural forces are at play, and they start sprouting a new spinal column and skull from the disembodied legs, basically from the hips down, starts generating this new grotesque imitation of life. And it all comes down to the fact that there is a reason why the Five Beasts basically are very good at what they did. They got trained to do it, and they picked up some supernatural kung fu kind of thing as they were doing it. but seeing it play out is just so unpleasant at times. But here we hit James Stokoe's actual real gift. Now, he's a great writer. I'm not going to take anything away from his writing. I've read a few things he's done, and he's always told a story in a way which is interesting. But it's his art that is the absolute standout thing of his career. And I'd like to think if he ever randomly finds this video and watches it, I don't think he'd disagree with me. There's a reason why, like, he still gets a lot of work doing variant covers, and unlike a lot of even like solo stuff, his name is always plastered over like James Stokoe's thing whenever he's doing something, because his name will flip the needle quite far when it comes to if people are going to buy something. I mean, yes, people are going to buy Alien comics regardless, but his Alien Dead Orbit is probably the best-selling Alien graphic novel, or trade paperback, should I say, that we've ever had in store. Every time I sell out of it, I get more back in, and I sell out again. I always get back in, and I sell out again. His work is just phenomenal, and it's because he has an eye for the immaculate level of detail needed that will drag your eye into every single panel. And it is, I use a tough term a lot in this review, it is over the top, but it's worth looking at how over the top he does it. All the little things. I mean, there's in one of the later issues of the Five Beasts, there is a point where it's somebody literally cutting their own body apart as the flesh regrows so they can sell it, because apparently it's very, very tasty, and they have a very successful restaurant, and it's massively addictive. The scenes where people are becoming addicted to it, and their facial expressions, and the onomatopoeia of them eating this food is so vulgar that you can't look away. You have to delve deeper into it. And the more you do, the more you realize just how masterful he is at his craft. Everything that you don't want to see because it's horrible and wrong, he puts on display and makes you pay attention to it. And it's done so well that no matter how gross it is, you love every moment of it. This is brilliant. It is absolutely superb. It's one I wasn't going to go for. Every once in a while on this list, you're going to see stuff, and I'll tell you if it's the case. Well, I literally picked it up to review a copy of it, and yes, I said James Stokoe will move the needle, but because I'm not into the Hong Kong action movie kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, I can take or leave this. I got about halfway through the first issue, and I knew this was something special, and I knew I had to have it, and I'm so glad I did. The only frustrating thing is it's taken a very long time to get to the end of it, and even then, it feels like the ending is going to be kind of rushed. It's supposed to be the Orphan and the Five Beasts, and so far, I'm fairly sure he's only met two of the beasts. Well, he's certainly met one. I think he's met another one, and it feels like with only one, maybe two issues left, it's going to potentially have a little bit of a convoluted ending, sort of compressed ending, but the journey to it has been so glorious that it's absolutely worth it, 100%. All right, that's it from me for today. I am going to go, but I'll be back tomorrow with number 9 on the list, which I think might annoy some people, but it's my list, so I don't care. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.